And brighter skies will follow on behind that with some sunny spells. A few showers across the east where it will again be pretty mild with temperatures likely to reach the high teens. Bye for now.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A725 at Orbiston, northbound is partially blocked by a broken down vehicle. On the A48M westbound, delays from junction 29 at Castleton to junction 29A at St Mellons due to congestion. In South Gloucestershire, the M4 westbound exit slip at junction 19 has a broken down vehicle with one of two lanes closed, clearing around 20 to 10 this morning. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway has disruption between Warrington Central and Liverpool Lime Street, and Grand Central services are disrupted through Pontefract Monkhill. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Marmalade, a British breakfast staple, could soon be getting a rebrand under a post-Brexit food deal with the EU.
Well, the new agreement lines Britain up to EU rules, which have changed since Brexit. This could force shops to rename marmalade citrus marmalade, as Britain aligns with those new European rules.
I think they might be taking the pith on this one. What do you reckon? Joining us now to discuss these changes is Jane Hassel-McCosh, marmalade maker and founder of the Dalmain World of Marmalade Awards. Wow, that sounds pretty impressive. What do you make of this, Jane?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think it's actually very good news. I think that why are they having to redefine it? Well, the answer is that marmalade is on the up. Our citrus marmalade is on the up. And so it now really does have to be defined. Whereas when I started this competition 21 years ago, we got 60 jars coming in, all good Seville orange marmalade. And today we have the most incredible assortment of entries. We get entries from artisan, small commercial producers. And that's where I think the problem will be, that all the artisan producers are going to have to remake their labels, which is expensive and difficult.
Expensive and pointless. I mean, to me, marmalade is very clear. It's a sort of orangey, jammy thing, and it is very nice. And if there's a sort of marmalade that's not made with oranges, that's made with another sort of either citrus or indeed non-citrus fruit, as the Europeans call their marmalades, which I don't really think counts as marmalade, but anyway, that's by the by. We're now saying that orange marmalade can't be just called marmalade.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning to you. It's 9:30 on Tuesday, the 14th of April, live across the UK, Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pierce and Dawn Neeson.
You remember 2 days in a row. Well done. Okay.
Are you Dawn?
Yes, I am. Not me, not Bev, but you can call me what you want. OK, big stories coming up for you. Britain left exposed. A scathing former NATO Secretary-General accuses the government of corrosive complacency towards defence, putting the UK in peril.
I have no doubt that if appropriate procedures had been in place, this dreadful event would not have happened.
So terrible, isn't it? Those Southport deaths were entirely preventable. That damning inquiry says they could and should have been avoided. Will anyone pay the price for it? Will anyone be sacked? Will anyone be prosecuted? I think we know the answer to that.
We do, unfortunately.
I do not look at my role as being politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing.
He's not the Messiah, he's just a very naughty boy. Yeah, Trump's on a holy clash. The US president tells the Pope to stay out of politics and claims an AI image depicting him as Jesus Christ was actually just him as a doctor. Have a listen.
I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better.
Never convinced me, I'm afraid. The Strait of Hormuz, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. Oh, we sending her to Hormuz. No, she's going to Washington to urge allies to cooperate during the economic turmoil. As for the US Vice President J.D. Vance, he had this message for Iran.
When it comes to weapons of war, what they have done is engage in this act of economic terrorism against the entire world.
And rural Britain rebels. Farmers tell Rachel Reeves to cut fuel taxes or face Ireland-style disruption across Britain's roads.
And some of Australia has welcomed Harry and Meghan as the Sussexes try out touchdown for an unofficial tour, which is of course like a royal tour. Guess who's paying for their security?
That is your favourite story of the day. Andrew Pierce just adores that royal story.
They're ridiculous.
You are the #1 fan. You've got the tour T-shirt already, I know.
They are ridiculous. Just go and do what you said you were going to do. Go and lead your life in Montecito. You've written lots of books slagging off your own families, making lots of money out of it. Now clear off.
But they don't want to be royals, but it's a royal tour. I mean, come on, it is all but a royal tour in name.
Yeah, in all but the name.
Yeah,
exactly. And at vast expense. And of course, they're supposed to be avoiding flying because they want to save the planet.
I bet they're planted a tree or two.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And Australian taxpayers are paying for it as well.
Yeah, which will go down quite badly. I suspect there'll be a statement at some point from the Republican movement in Australia. In fact, we might even be talking to them.
Yes, indeed. And there's loads coming up in today's show. But as always, it is about you and your views. So get them coming in at gbnews.com/your say or scan the QR code on your screen now. Packed show coming up all after your 60-second news update with Sam Francis.
Dawn, Andrew, thank you, and good morning to you. 9:30. The headlines this hour. A former NATO Secretary-General is warning the UK's security is in peril. Lord Robertson will use a speech later today to accuse Treasury officials of vandalism after delays to a long-awaited defence investment plan. The government, though, insists spending is rising at its fastest rate since the Cold War. US Vice President J.D. Vance says the ball is in Iran's court to agree a deal to end the Middle East conflict. It comes as the US begins a blockade of Iranian ports following failed negotiations between the two sides. J.D. Vance has also called on the Vatican to stick to matters of morality after Donald Trump heavily criticised Pope Leo. The US president refused to apologise for calling the pontiff weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. The Pope had condemned the war on Iran. Here, 11 police officers are under investigation over their handling of a fatal crash at a primary school in London. 2 8-year-old girls were killed when a Land Rover hit the study prep school in Wimbledon in 2023. The police watchdog says it's examining how the incident was handled by Scotland Yard. And the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have arrived in Australia for a private visit combining charity work and commercial events. Prince Harry and Meghan will meet patients, veterans and families while also appearing at a paid event, including a private wellness retreat. Those are the morning headlines for you. More news at 10.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good morning. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pierce and me, Dawn Newsom, this morning.
Well, it's going on, as I knew it would. The President of the United States has been hit with heavy criticism from around the world after he posted, then later deleted, an image of himself which had been created by AI. Looks to me like he's being Jesus Christ there to me, at the same time telling the Pope he's weak, staying out of politics, and adding that the only reason the Pope is in the White House is because of Donald Trump. I wasn't aware that Donald Trump was in the Sistine Chapel when they made that historic vote to pick their first American Pope.
Donald Trump probably thinks he was, to be honest with you. It is, of course, all over the front pages this morning, but the Daily Star, my former newspaper, I think has absolutely done the best page one.
He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy.
There we
Yeah,
are.
they've splashed. You're not the Messiah. You are just a very naughty boy from the infamous Monty Python sketch, which we saw.
Can I just say, Miriam, Dawn, on behalf of the Catholic Church, I'm not a spokesman for the Catholic Church, I just happen to be a Catholic, but of course Christianity, the Catholic faith, it's up for satire, it's up for criticism, you can take the mick out of it. We are not as ultra-sensitive, I would argue, as some people in the Muslim faith. You know there's that teacher who's been in hiding for 2 or 3 years because he showed pupils cartoons of the Prophet Islam. But I just think it's inappropriate for the President of the United States, of all people, to issue what some people will regard as a blasphemous image.
And lots of people have, and there are many, many Catholics in America, obviously.
But there are 77 million.
Exactly. So why would you do that, alienate your votes? And then to double down on it almost by saying, no, there was no religious imagery here. I just thought I was portraying a doctor.
What he also did in that image, the AI image that they used, it was amended to include an image of a devil in the ether.
Yeah, I don't know if we can...
Can we put that image back up?
The full image, though. You need the full image rather than just the one that...
Because it was quite clearly, there he is, there's the devil in the ether.
Yes.
And so, which makes it even more biblical and nothing to do with the Red Cross.
Because I can hold it up here, whether you can see it or not. If you look in the sky there, if the camera can zoom in, the original AI image was...
There it is.
There it is.
So it's like the third image. There's 3 images above his head. The one in the middle is an image of Satan.
A horned
it's
beast
a Satan
kind of
figure.
way, yeah. Now, the original AI image was created by a fan of Trump back in February, so it's been around for a while, showed the images at the top in the clouds there were soldiers, military. So someone, somewhere along the line, has changed the middle image to a horned creature, satanic image, basically. Now, we don't know who has done that, to be fair, but obviously their implication is that it was someone, you know, on Trump's team, if not Trump himself. Now, I don't know why you do that, though.
Of course, the Pope shouldn't be involved in politics, but I would say, for a world spiritual leader to say, I'd like there to be a ceasefire for the war trend, is what you'd expect spiritual leaders to say.
Absolutely.
The Archbishop of Canterbury has said the same thing. Many other world church leaders have said that. That's his job, or their job.
You know, I thought the worst thing was when Trump was trying to explain this overnight our time, but yesterday into the White House, or to people at the White House. He opened the door to talk to people holding a McDonald's bag, holding takeaway bags, which is just how much respect he has for this story and the fact that Catholics, not just Catholics, but many, many people, even people who don't have faith, are upset and offended by this image, including some of his biggest supporters. I mean, many of the people on his closest team, J.D. Vance, for example, very, very, very strong faith.
Yeah. I think we have to accept he knows he got this wrong because he's taken down the image. And I think sometimes when you get it wrong, do you know what? Just say,
I'm sorry.
In hindsight.
I'm sorry. I got it wrong.
There we are. So let's talk to a Roman Catholic guest, Caroline Farrow, who's a Catholic journalist and commentator. Caroline, good morning to you. You are, as fair to say, a staunch Roman Catholic. Were you offended?
Good morning, Andrew and Dawn. Yes, I was offended. Well, yes, I was offended because it is blasphemous and idolatrous, and I just thought it was extraordinarily tasteless, and it showed Trump's own grandiosity. That said, although, yes, I thought it was tasteless and horrible, I'm also one of these people that thinks that actually those who blaspheme and take the Lord's name in vain and behave like this will answer for it at one point or another. So, you know, and our Lord endured a lot worse. But, yeah, I thought it was tasteless, blasphemous, idolatrous. And as you've covered all the points that I was going to make, or some of them, in terms of you've talked about how the image was doctored. So there's clearly a spiritual battle going on between earth and heaven in this image. And when you look at what Trump is depicted wearing, those are the same garments that Christ is depicted in many, many icons. You know, the red and the white, you know, symbolising the blood and the water that flowed from Christ's side when he was crucified. And Trump was being so disingenuous to claim that he thought he was being a doctor. I actually laughed and thought, that just proves that you're either senile or completely unfit to govern. because it would have been a lot. It would have been a lot more human just to admit that he made a mistake and apologise and moved on. And I think people would have forgiven him for that. But
I think so.
There's no doubt. It's a bit like saying, oh well, that depiction of me on the cross. That's how I exercise. It was as stupid and banal as that. And it was. I think this whole episode has been really unfortunate for Trump, because, and I think he will feel it in the midterms. Catholics will turn against him, because in launching quite such an ugly and undignified rant, accompanied by this image, he has lost any potential moral high ground that he may have had, and he's been so disrespectful to Catholics, to the Pope. The way he says that he's only Pope because, Robert Prevost, the Cardinal, was only voted in as Pope because he was a president. That is completely disrespectful of Catholic belief, Catholic teaching. He wasn't in the Sistine Chapel. We believe that the Holy Spirit influences the choice of Pope, that it's not, purely a political process. But also, as well, I just want to draw attention to something that everyone is saying, well, everyone knows that the Pope should stay out of politics. Actually, a Catholic doctrine is, and I'll quote here from Gaudium et Spes, which is a Second Vatican Council document, which says, at all times and in all places, the Church should have true freedom to preach the faith, to teach her social doctrine, and to pass moral judgment, even in matters related to politics, whenever the fundamental rights of man or the salvation of souls requires it. So this idea that the Pope should stay out of politics, which even J.D. Vance has suggested, is not Catholic teaching. Now, where I think that Donald Trump potentially had an inkling of a point, but he went about it completely the wrong way, is that, yes, the Pope has had this meeting with David Axelrod, who was the advisor to political strategist to President Obama, the former President Obama. And David Axelrod has advocated for some horrible things. During COVID, he was all about prosecuting churches who stayed open and prosecuting mass attenders. So those points he made about COVID had some validity, and also I can understand that there is some frustration that the Pope hasn't acknowledged the repression that has been going on in Iran and the terrible Iranian regime, who is so happy to kill its own people and its own civilians. However, does that mean that the current war in Iran is justified? Well, does it meet a Catholic, we have Catholic teaching about a just war theory, and that is, in order to take military action, it must be proportionate, and, the risk that you're coming up against, the threat that you're coming up against, must be worthy of this response. So there are lots of nuanced points, that could have been addressed, and of course everyone can debate, and we have to remember that when the Pope speaks in this way, he's not speaking ex cathedra, he's not infallible, he's giving his own opinion. But of course billions of Catholics like me are going to take our spiritual lead from the Holy Father and not from Donald Trump. So I think any kind of point that Trump had has been completely lost in this really ugly rant and this image, and then doubling down on it and claiming that it wasn't him as Jesus. But that's either he's lying or he's extraordinarily stupid.
And I don't think he's extraordinarily stupid, Kath. No, I don't think he's extraordinarily stupid. Caroline, thank you so much for joining us. That's the Catholic commentator and journalist Caroline Farrow. Trump is not stupid, anything but. He's a very clever man.
But
he just screwed up. But again, I make the point, the Catholic Church is a big faith. It's been around a very long time, over 2,000 years. And, of course, it's up for satire and abuse and mickey-taking, but I just don't think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to depict himself in that way. and then try and pretend he didn't?
It is incredibly childish. At the very best, you could say it's
Yeah.
childish. I mean, lots of messages coming in on this one. Obviously, Carol says, I like Trump, but think this image has really gone too far.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mike says, I hate to say it, but I think Trump might have caught the Biden syndrome. There has been a lot of speculation about that one, Mike. You're not the only one saying that. Meanwhile, Adrian says, I think people's views on Trump are changing. He's overstepping the mark between politics and religion. All I'd say to that, Adrian, is religion and politics have been entwined
Of course they have.
Since time immemorial.
And Catherine,
You'll never.
Caroline made the point that Vatican II, which was a big church during the 60s, made the point a pope can intervene in politics, but basically where life and limb are at risk. And in war, I think you'd expect a pope to speak out.
Of course.
In fact, they'd be criticism if he didn't.
Yes, any religious leader should be talking out about peace and, stopping killing people. But let us know what you're thinking about that one at gbnews.com/your say. OK, still ahead, we'll bring you this scathing attack on our armed forces from a former NATO boss.
Who happens to be a former Labour Party Defence Secretary under the guise of Tony Blair.
Indeed. The damning inquiry into the Southport stabbings as well show the deaths of the young girls BB King, Alistair Silva and Elsie Stancombe were preventable. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Sunny skies across most of Spain, some thundery showers on Wednesday in Italy, and after some sunshine, things turning showery in Greece. Things warming up in the Canaries through the rest of this week. Sunny spells on Wednesday. Lots of sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Main exception will be the far northwest, where there will be some rain moving in. Heavy showers, even thunderstorms likely in Italy, particularly in Rome. Much of Greece dry and sunny on Wednesday, but the showers will move in here later on in the week, and a continued risk of thunderstorms in Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bin collections are changing. Under the Simpler Recycling initiative, households in England will have 4 bins to make it easier to separate waste. In North Yorkshire, the council's already started rolling out the government mandate.
We've collect paper and cardboard separate, then we've got glass, cans, plastic and all other recyclables in another bin, and then finally our general waste bin. And the idea is just by separating them, they're actually more valuable to us as an authority, and they're also more usable in the recycling industry. Good quality recyclates, they have a higher value, and therefore we can sell them for more, so therefore in theory we shouldn't have to put your council tax up, or we can spend that elsewhere on other things, potholes or wherever else it is.
Northallerton resident David Toon sees the benefit of recycling, but is apprehensive of the new scheme.
I see it as being a lot more faff, and I just think that whether it'll achieve anything, time will tell. If it works out, all well and good, you know. If it's not another different day, if it's all done, if it's not another day, so you have to remember to put this out that day, this out that day, and if they keep them together, it helps.
I've got no problem with splitting up recycling, but how many bins are you going to have? And then remembering which bins go out on which day.
I'm not up for another bin. I talk a lot of rubbish, but I'm not up for another bin.
With a new universal standard of recycling being implemented in every region, bin day should now be a breeze. But make sure to check what can and can't go in the rubbish or face a costly fine. Anna Riley, GB News, Northallerton.
GB News, the People's Channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, good morning. It is coming up to 10 to 10 and this is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
The outcome of the inquiry into the Southport attacks reveals years of missed warnings and overlooked risks.
The word failure was mentioned more than 200 times as the killer's parents were blamed for failing to stop their son's crimes.
Counter-terror expert Chris Phillips joins us now. Chris, morning to you. We know that this monster was referred not once, not twice, but 3 times to prevent, and yet still he got through their clutches and was able to carry out these horrific attacks.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he probably wasn't and isn't a terrorist as such. He's someone that suffers from mental health issues, serious mental health issues. And I think what this attack and everything that goes with it is it shows the complete underfunding of a mental health system. And it has been like that for 20 or 30 years. And if you think back to the time when we had mental health hospitals dotted all over the country with people that did create a risk to the public, we've underfunded them. We took the money away. We've been extravagant with the amount of money we've given for other causes, and yet mental health, which has such a big impact on society, they moved over to care in the community, and the care in the community, the people that were doing that were then taken away. So we're in a situation where we have people on the streets that shouldn't be.
He was convicted under the Terrorism Act, though, wasn't he, for possessing that Al-Qaeda training menu. Do we think that the fact that people were tiptoeing around that we are talking about a young black lad with knives was an issue? Were people, once again, afraid of being accused of racism?
Oh, absolutely. And, we see it time and time again where police forces and social workers and others have struggled. And often quite rightly, because it's very easy to accuse people of being a racist. And over the years, this has been taken seriously by people, and there has been a tiptoeing over this kind of situation. However, if you look around cities now, you will see people with mental health issues lying on the streets, shouting, swearing. We've become almost used to it. Whereas these people didn't used to be there. They used to be looked after, and the mental health system has completely failed us.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Counter-terror expert Chris Phillips there. OK, still ahead. Royal family pictures. King Charles has called on Prince William to protect Queen Camilla's future role in the monarchy. This is Britain's Newsroom, favourite morning show of GB News. More after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A chilly but sunny start for many in the east. Don't get used to that sunshine though, because the cloud is spilling in from the west, bringing some outbreaks of rain and increasing breeze as well. The wind's quite light though, with plenty of sunshine, but a chilly start across eastern England and much of Scotland. It's not as cold as yesterday morning further west because that cloud has been moving in, making for a grey day over Wales, Northern Ireland, Western England, with outbreaks of rain and drizzle here and there. That rain and drizzle will spread to northwest England, southern Scotland. Eastern England hanging on to some brightness, along with much of northern Scotland. 16, 17 17, 18 possible here. Further west, temperatures still getting into the mid to high teens, so a little milder than yesterday for many, but that breeze will increase. Now, the far north of Scotland hanging on to the fine weather even into this evening, but the rain and drizzle will be spreading into central Scotland by this stage. Damp for most of the afternoon across southwest Scotland. For most of the day, rain on and off across Northern Ireland, but nothing too heavy at this stage. We'll see some of that drizzly rain arriving in southeast England. And it's going to be a dull, damp day for much of South Wales and southwest England too. We could see some heavier bursts of rain moving in as it all continues to drift northwards, but we'll eventually see that cloud spilling into northern Scotland. The wind's continuing to strengthen, getting quite blustery in places, particularly around western coasts overnight, with further outbreaks of rain coming in here. But with all that cloud, wind coming up from the south or southwest, it's going to be a very mild night. Temperatures in many towns and cities staying in double digits. So a mild start to Wednesday, a fairly drab day, though, lots of cloud around, outbreaks of rain and drizzle for many, and then a band of heavier rain coming into western areas from late morning onwards, really, into Wales, southwest England. Brighter skies will follow on behind that with some sunny spells. A few showers across the east, where it will again be pretty mild, with temperatures likely to reach the high teens. Bye for now.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. On the A72 in Calder, lane 1 is blocked due to a road incident. The A48M westbound is slow from junction 29 at Castleton to 29A at St Mellons. In Kirklees, the M62 eastbound between 26 and 27 has a closed lane after a crash, clearing after 10:30. The M6 southbound in Staffordshire between 13 and 12 faces lane closures due to an overturned vehicle, resolving after 10:55. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway and Grand Central services are disrupted between Warrington Central and Liverpool Lime Street through Pontefract Monkhill. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Make sure you don't miss out on your chance to win big. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you, so secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. It is 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's Tuesday, the 14th of April, live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and me, Dawn Neeson, today.
Only today? What
and
are you
tomorrow
normally?
as well.
What are your other days? Somebody else? Are we being horribly exposed? It sounds like it. A scathing description of our defences by a former NATO General Secretary who accuses the government of a corrosive complacency towards defence, which he says is putting the country in peril. Point here, he's a former Labour Party Defence Secretary.
Shot across the bows from George Robertson, as Andrew says, a damaging attack on Sir Keir Starmer. Why can't he spend more money on our defence to keep us all safe?
Meanwhile, rural Britain rebels. Farmers told Rachel Reeves to cut fuel taxes or face island-style disruption across Britain's roads.
I have no doubt that if appropriate procedures had been in place, this dreadful event would not have happened.
Oh, it just seems so predictable, doesn't it? The damning inquiry into the Southport attack says it could and should have been avoided. We're asking a very simple question. Will anybody be sacked for this? Will anybody be prosecuted? We're pretty sure the answer's no.
No, indeed. And there's so many questions I want to ask the parents. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz are blocked. The Chancellor heads to Washington to urge allies to cooperate during the economic turmoil. US Vice President J.D. Vance had this message for Iran.
When it comes to weapons of war, what they have done is engage in this act of economic terrorism against the entire world.
And Australia welcomes Harry and Meghan as a Sussex touchdown for an unofficial royal tour. And guess who is paying for their security?
I wonder if Keir Starmer's now regretting inviting George Robertson as he was when he was Secretary of State for Defence, then he went over to be the Secretary-General of NATO. He invited him to do a strategic Labour review, and he is now giving the benefit of his views in a major speech this morning in which he says we're not ready, we're not prepared, and he also says we cannot defend Britain if we spend all our money on welfare. That is devastating.
It's incredibly damning from a Labour person. It is incredibly damning indeed, but absolutely, and many of you agree, we've seen the messages coming in already, bang on the money.
Yeah, he also accuses the Treasury of economic vandalism. So that's a chance if its Exchequer is going over to Washington to do something or other. Shouldn't she be here sorting out more money for our defence? Yes.
Well, I mean, how many times did she mention defence in her budget?
That's the point. She mentioned defence. The word defence, it was mentioned in 40 seconds in an hour speech. That was it. And in the spring statement, which updates you on the budget in March, how many times do you think she mentioned defence?
Nothing.
Nada.
Nothing.
Nil.
Nothing at all. Meanwhile, welfare I mentioned quite a bit, evidently. No surprise there. Any case, this show is all about you. That is a particularly interview that you don't want to miss. It's coming up very soon. Get in touch, gbnews.com/your say and join in the conversation. Let us know what you think. Or you can scan your QR code. Oh, and by the way, please do feel free to send your messages to Eamon still. We're still passing them on. He is still on the mend, and lots of you are asking already. So he's still on the mend. His loved ones are with him, and he says thank you so much for all your messages.
And if you're watching, Eamon, we're sending you lots of love.
Yeah, we are. Get well soon, big man. We'll see you soon. We've got a checkerboard to win, remember. OK, but loads more coming up after the news headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you from the newsroom. Just gone 10 o'clock. The top story this morning. A senior government advisor is warning that the UK is not safe and faces growing threats for national security. Lord George Robertson says there is a corrosive complacency in political leadership and warns Britain is underprepared for modern conflict. He's expected to say later that defence must be prioritised as pressure grows on the government to increase military spending. Well, earlier this morning, Labour Minister Karen Smythe told us investment is already rising to meet new global threats. She went on to blame the previous Conservative government for hollowing out the Defence Forces.
We were very clear when we came into government in our manifesto commitment that we needed to reverse that decline, and we've set about doing that immediately. I understand when people are frustrated that doesn't happen more quickly, but we have responded to that already. We will reach 2.6% of spending next year. The Tories never got anywhere near that. So we are putting that right. We're bringing that industry, building more ships up in the Clyde, submarines in Derby.
In other news this morning, the US Vice President J.D. Vance has said the ball is in Iran's court if it wants to reach a deal to end the conflict in the Middle East. He says progress was made in recent talks, but warned it's now up to Tehran to act. It comes after negotiations between the US and Iran collapsed, with Washington now enforcing a blockade of Iranian ports to increase pressure. Iran has, in response, accused the US of making excessive demands, raising fears the standoff could escalate further. J.D. Vance has also told the Vatican to stick to matters of morality as tensions grow between Washington and the Catholic Church. His comments come after Donald Trump heavily criticised Pope Leo, calling him weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. The row follows the Pope's criticism of the war with Iran, where he's urged peace and warned against the moral consequences of conflict. 11 police officers are under investigation over their handling of a fatal crash at a primary school in Wimbledon. 2 8-year-old girls were killed when a Land Rover hit the study prep school in July of 2023. The police watchdog says it is examining the standard of the initial investigation carried out by Scotland Yard. It will look at how the incident was handled in the immediate aftermath. Cancer diagnosis shouldn't be a matter of luck. That's the message from the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, as the government says it's investing £237 million in new NHS diagnostic centres. 4 new sites will open, with dozens more expanded to bring tests closer to patients' homes. Ministers say it's all part of the biggest expansion in diagnostics in a generation, aimed at catching the disease earlier. The latest figures show cancer targets are still being missed, with fewer than 3/4 of patients getting results within just 28 days. Councils across England risk losing up to 1/3 of their road repair funding if they fail to show they're fixing potholes effectively. The Department for Transport says more than £500 million will be withheld unless local authorities prove the money is being spent properly. Ministers say the move will ensure better value for drivers, but councils must now publish detailed plans and show long-term strategies for maintaining roads. It comes as the cost of fixing local roads is now estimated at nearly £19 billion. Around 65,000 young people are set to be trained for jobs in key industries under a new government investment in further education. £175 million will fund 19 technical excellence colleges across England, focusing on sectors like defence, clean energy, digital and manufacturing. Ministers say the move will help fill a growing gap in skills, with nearly 600,000 workers needed in those industries by 2030. They argue it will create a pipeline into well-paid jobs. And in Australia, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have touched down for a 4-day visit combining charity work and commercial engagements. Prince Harry and Meghan will meet patients, veterans and families, while also appearing at paid events, including a keynote speech and a private wellness retreat. It's their first visit to Australia since 2018, but unlike previous tours, there are no public meet and greets planned. Those are the 10 o'clock headlines for you. More news in half an hour. Now, though, it's back to Dawn and Andrew.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
And let's just take a quick look at the markets for you this hour. Do ignore the graphic on screen, but I can tell you that the pound will buy you $1.3454 and €1.1489 euros. The price of gold is currently unconfirmed, but the FTSE 100 is standing at 1,058 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Hello and welcome. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Dawn Neeson.
So it's a major figure now is saying Britain isn't safe, and he's warned of corrosive complacency over national security.
Indeed, Lord George Robertson says defence must be prioritised.
But he says ministers' investments already, he said they are not making the investment to meet new global threats.
Earlier, GB News spoke to Labour Minister Karen Smythe. Here's what she had to say.
We will reach 2.6% of spending next year. The Tories never got anywhere near that. So we are putting that right.
Well, GB News political editor Chris Hope joins us now. Chris, I hope you could hear the Minister, because we couldn't. So I wonder if you can react to what she said.
Well, she said what the government policy is, Andrew, to get 2.6% of GDP spending by April next year, and then driving forward to that to 3.5% maybe by 2035. That was the idea. But this attack by George Robertson is excoriating. I mean, just to remind people from what's been said, it's all in today's Financial Times just here. But he says here, we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget. We are underprepared, he says. We are underinsured, he says. We are under attack. We are not safe. Britain's national security and safety is in peril. This is an absolute rocket fired from George Robertson at the heart of the Labour government, because he blames the Treasury for blocking the spending. He says that they simply are not there, not able to work out how to spend the right money on where it needs to be spent. There's still no defence industrial plan published, that was investment plan published. That was meant to be last year. The Treasury is accused of vandalism. There are non-military experts living there. But that attack on benefits, I think, is the most important one. This is a government which couldn't stop the increase in benefits by just £5 billion last summer, and it seems to have waved the white flag since then. There are reviews coming out from Stephen Timms, a health minister, and also one from Alan Milburn on getting young people into work. But that's all there is, and the scale of benefits has to be repeated. £334 billion spent this year on benefits. That's 1/4 of the entire UK government budget. That's an extraordinary amount of money. All the main parties have committed to increasing the pensions triple lock again after the next election. That's this year. Well, it will be 200 billion by the next election. That's of the 400 billion total on benefits. No one appears to be talking the truth on this in terms of government. No one is saying we need to cut the benefits bill and look after our own safety. In a podcast I do called Chopper's Political Podcast, one idea we had was maybe making it a double lock on pensions and convincing older people that the money must be spent on keeping this country safe for future generations. But I think a massive conversation will be triggered by what George Robertson is saying here. Why are we spending money on paying people not to be at work when we are frankly not safe? And that is the first duty of any Prime Minister.
Chris Hope, thanks so much for that. And just to remind people as well that Lord Robertson is going to say in this speech later that Rachel Reeves used 40 words in 1 hour to talk about defence in her budget speech. And in the spring statement, which was in March, she didn't talk about defence for 1 second.
Not once.
And to remind you again, the devastating line in the speech, which Chris Hope has picked up, we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget, which is in fact what we've got.
Yeah, and I know our Chopper mentioned pensioners there and the pension bill and the triple lock, etc., etc. I think we should tackle the ballooning welfare benefit.
I certainly think we should.
Before we pensioners.
Pensioners have been paying all their lives into the system.
Exactly.
They've worked their lives.
Oh, no, they haven't. You don't contribute. Yes, you do. It's national insurance. If you haven't paid the national insurance stamps, you don't get your pension.
Some of these pensioners will have been working since they were 14 or 15.
Yeah, and they're trying to survive on £12,000 a year.
Yeah, it ain't great.
It's tackling the people that can work, that are being paid to sit at home and do nothing.
Now let's move on, because the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, that's still their
story.
Well, it's still their titles for now. Have begun their 4-day tour across Australia. So the joys, Melbourne, Canberra, and Sydney, have the dubious joys, I would say, of the couple.
Yes, this is a complete unbiased report on this one, obviously. Joining us now from Melbourne is a Sky News Australia presenter, Petter Credlin. Good to see you, Petter. Thank you so much for joining us today. How is the royal tour going down in Australia?
Great to be here. Well, I think we're being generous if we call it a world tour. I mean, it's a commercial operation by two grifters, isn't it? I mean, you sentence your convicts, now we get your reject royals. We call them the ginger and the whinger down here. There used to be a lot of affection for Prince Harry. I mean, he spent time as a jackaroo in Australia. We do like him. We love what he did with veterans, but ever since he's hooked up with this bird from America, it's gone downhill fast. And I think Australians really rejected him and his wife after he targeted his family. We think that's not on. And also all the stuff that he said about the Queen in the books and the venting. What this is about, yes, there's some charity things around the edges to sanitise the visit, but what this is about is it is a commercial opportunity. We know that he's getting sued by Centrebale, his old charity. He's trying to sort of, you know, improve his image. She is absolutely. But they're making a lot of money. If you want to see them in Sydney, it's $3,000 a ticket to sit down with Meghan on a wellness retreat. If you want to turn up and listen to Harry at an event in Melbourne, it's $2,000 a seat. There's not a lot of interest. As I say, Australians down here think that they're grifters.
And is there some concern that they're doing what the Queen always said they couldn't do, half in, half out? They're trying to bit it in a sense as a semi-royal tour, but behind the scenes, or not even behind the scenes, they're loading their pockets.
100%, Andrew. I mean, I used to work for the Australian Prime Minister, and there's a guest of government status that you get when you come on an official visit. They're not guest of government. The Governor-General's not meeting with them. No senior politicians are meeting with them. Yet they're going to charge Australian taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars for their security here, while they themselves are making what's likely to be millions of dollars out of Australia. This has not gone down well.
I mean, Peter, it says here that the four-day visit is focused on mental health, community resilience and support for veterans. Can you sort of like tell us how that's going down? What exactly are they doing? Well, we're wondering the same thing. I mean, his work with Invictus is very well regarded, absolutely. But they sit in a multi-million-dollar mansion in Montecito in California. They're very removed from the people that they're shaking hands with down here, and they're all highly staged events. As I say, that you know, pay-to-play sort of events. You've got to pay thousands of dollars to be in the room. This money should be going to the charities if they are doing these events under the auspices of those brands. But we all know that you know, they lost the Netflix deal, they've lost other deals. Almost everything she touches turns to custard. Apparently there's a warehouse with lots of jam for sale that they never sold, in California. And we've been lumped with them. I mean, I don't know how we drew the short straw.
Well, maybe you could try the jam. Do you fancy it?
I don't know about that. There was a radio station in Melbourne, Andrew, where they asked Australians, Harry and Meghan are here in Melbourne, what would you like to do with them? And almost half of the people that were calling in say, take them straight back to the airport. And we don't want them. You didn't want them either.
No, we certainly
don't. You haven't got them. Unfortunately, we've got them here for a visit. They can go home.
Very good. Peter, I suspect we'll be talking to you again before this trip is out. Fabulous to talk to you. That's Peter Credlin, in Melbourne, from Sky News Australia.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Well, like all Aussies, she didn't pull her punches.
No, she didn't. I thought I'd be struggling to find someone who was felt as strongly as you do, and we did. Well done.
Well, because she knows they are a pair of grifters, but don't you love it? They're known as Ginger and Whinger.
Whinger, yeah.
Fantastic. But
indeed.
it is a cheek, isn't it? They're charging all that money for access, and then the poor old Australian taxpayer gets to pick up the bill for their security. Pay for it yourself.
Well, this is what I want to ask, though, because they are supposedly talking to mental health charities. We know that both of them have worked closely with mental health charities. But if they're charging,
get your violin out.
If they are charging people to see them, is all that money being donated to those charities?
Yes, the charity's called Grifter, Ginger and Whinger. That's what the charity's called.
I think I'm probably going to move on, Andrew. Yes, indeed. I'm getting all sorts of trouble here. In any case, it is time for the Great British Giveaway, if you fancy.
We could give them away. I thought we had given them away.
They keep coming back. That's the trouble. In any case, Shush. The Great British Giveaway now, and the clock is ticking on your chance to win £25,000 in tax-free cash and that brand new 4-berth motorhome. It's a prize worth over £92,000 and it could be yours. You could even go on a road trip to Australia. Who knows? Here's all the details.
Time is ticking on your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this stylish home from home comes with all of the features you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £67,000. Alloy wheels, solar panel and pop-top bunks for an optional sleeping area. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you, so secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes are closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
There you go.
Now up next, big row's broken out, of course, between Donald Trump and the Pope. I resisted the temptation to say an unholy row, because that's an awful cliche. We're saying, has the president gone too far this time in depicting himself as a Jesus-like figure with healing hands?
Well, indeed. No, it's just a doctor. And obviously, hospitals are full of people that look exactly like that. Oh, we'll be going through all of that and much more with, oh my God, it's Kevin Maguire and Piers Pottinger.
And we might ask them their view of the ginger and the whinger.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to.
I'm sure they'll have a view. Kevin being a great fan of the royal family.
This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you soon.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
There is a litter-picking group that has set up an ambitious aim of collecting 1 million bags of litter from streets, parks and public spaces.
They should start in Birmingham, shouldn't they? Mark Rowlands set up the initiative back in 2024, and it has since grown into a grassroots movement encouraging people to get outdoors, get active and improve their communities by collecting litter, and it has spread all over the world.
Yeah, and he joins us now. It's great to see you, Mark. Heck, I didn't know there was 1 million bags of litter to pick up. It's a big goal.
Do you know what, Stephen? Good morning, and good morning, Anne. Do you know, it's actually a small goal, right?
Oh, that's depressing.
It is depressing, but do you know what? I think for me, it's all about looking at the positive, right? Because anyone can get out there, pick up a bag, and make your community look better.
How do they do it then? How do they join in?
So there's two ways. I first created this on the free fitness app Strava. And the first bag I collected was from Everest Base Camp. And I came up with the idea, which was to actually, how can we encourage more people to get outdoors, get active, you know, good for your health, but give back to your community at the same time. And that's where the idea for 1 million bags started. So people can join. You just download the free fitness app Strava, go into clubs, search 1 million bags and join us there.
Right, can I ask, and it might sound a stupid question in a way, but how do you pick up litter safely?
It's important that, you know, you're wearing gloves, you don't pick up dirty objects, sharp objects. You know, it's important that people kind of stay safe and just use common sense, really.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, it's 10:25, and this is Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and me, Dawn Niesman. Please do wish me luck, because we're joined now by co-host of the Pearce versus Maguire podcast, Kevin Maguire, and political commentator Piers Pottinger in the studio.
Before we want to talk to you about George Robertson's astonishing attack on his own government. But first, Kevin, I know what a passionate advocate you are of the monarchy. Are you thrilled to see Ginger and Whinger down under?
Yes, because he's destroying it from the inside. Look, he's still part of them, isn't he? I mean, look, it's a money-making tour, isn't it?
And they're making the taxpayer pick up the bill for their security.
In Australia, a big Republican movement in Australia. I suspect it's about to get a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but we talked to a fantastic Sky News reporter, presenter, Piers, who said, there was a radio phone the other day, what do we want to do with them? Send them back to the airport.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is they've had to visit a country as far away from Britain as possible because they're certainly not welcomed by most people here.
That's right.
And there they are, again, doing this nauseating, pretending to be deeply interested in various causes just for the sake of it, promoting their own brand.
Yes.
And this rather nauseating weekend in the Sydney hotel where people are paying 1,600 quid to go and hear her spout more absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
It is, I'm sorry, but I think Harry and Meghan really, I think their time has come and enough is enough. I think the next place they'll go is the Falklands.
Ooh.
Because that's as far away from Britain as they can get, and they can talk to the penguins there.
Yeah, very good.
Look, I've got very little time, but to his credit, he did serve in the armed forces twice in Afghanistan. He was deeply traumatised as a kid. It was fantastic. I think he does believe it, and she believes in the causes. But where does it cross over to enriching themselves and making a fortune?
The late Queen said, you can't be half in, you can't be half out. So this is essentially, as the Australian presenter said, they're making a lot of money out of this tour. Yeah. And the taxpayers are pretty fed up that the government has picked up. They're not meeting a single government representative. Yeah. They're not meeting the High Commissioner, who is the King's representative there either.
But this is why there's been a huge dispute here back in the UK over security. Should they come across and should they automatically get top dollar armed security and police cars and everything, or should it be on a risk assessment? The Aussies should charge them.
Any couple to base their whole career and fortune by attacking their own families, as both of them have done their own ways, I think is disgraceful, despicable, and despised, actually, by most people.
I think that's right.
I think they are despised.
Yeah, I think on a human level, that's our point.
Let's ask Kevin. Kevin, you've known George Robertson for many years. He was Blair's first cabinet. He was his first defence secretary. He then went over to become Secretary General of NATO. I never know when they get that job if the Prime Minister wants to get rid of them. So, but he was, by all accounts, an effective Secretary General of NATO. He's then brought in by Starmer to do a strategic defence review. He's making a speech later today. Kevin, it is devastating to say this. We cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget. That's it. We are unprepared. He said the Treasury has acted not morally. He's accused the Chancellor of vandalism. It's a devastating attack on a Labour government by a Labour man.
It is. It's a huge bombardment on his own party, and I'm surprised he's said that. Now, maybe he's at the end of his tether. Maybe he just feels nothing's moving fast enough, so he wants to try and force it along. I think some of his analysis and other people will dispute it and say it is wrong. We are, in the UK, the world's 6th biggest spender on defence in cash terms, and we're in NATO, 32-nation alliance, so you don't have to fight anybody on your own. But nevertheless, he was appointed. I think the key bit really isn't the NATO Secretary General or even Tony Blair's first Defence Secretary, as you quite rightly point out. I think it's the fact that he was appointed by this Prime Minister to do the Strategic Defence Review, and now he's having to go at
what's
that
happened
Prime
to that
Minister.
Strategic Defence Review?
That's the question.
Where is the Strategic Defence Review?
It's caught up in a row, it's all very easy to say, let's spend loads more money on defence, but where does it come from? So it's caught up with Downing Street, the Treasury and the MOD on how much extra you're going to spend. They've said...
So he's speaking out because he's frustrated.
It's a huge amount.
So many British defence companies are now in limbo because they don't know what's happening. It's also extremely unusual for a man of Robertson's Labour Party stature to attack in such visceral terms Messrs Starmer and Reeves, and he is dragging them into reality because they seem to live in a cloud cuckoo land where they make these grandiose statements. Starmer loves to go travelling around the world saying, I'm going to spend all this money on defence. He hasn't got the money to spend, first of all, and then he doesn't spend it. What a surprise, because he discovers he hasn't got the money. And now our defence is in a really bad way. It is a very unusual day when George Robertson and Max Hastings are on the same page. Max Hastings written a brilliant piece in the Times today along the lines of exactly what Robertson is saying. And look at and it is a measure of how serious this is. And also, for the first time, polls are showing that the British electorate are taking defence much more seriously. It's much more of an issue with the voters than it ever has been. And Starmer will get a pasting for this.
And he's made it quite personalised. I mean, the headline in the FT, where, because Robertson has given the speech to the FT, he hits out at Starmer's complacency.
You say you're going to you say you're going to spend it, and then, well, where's your plan to get to your 2.5%, your 3%?
They haven't got a plan.
But again, I'll come back. We're the world's 6th biggest defence spender, and the MOD, the Ministry of Defence, is notoriously wasteful on equipment. It arrives late, overpriced, and doesn't do the job it was intended to do. So just giving it a load more cash would be a waste.
I agree with Kevin on this point. The procurement department, the procurement side of the MOD, has for years been a disaster. It tends to be staffed with people who know nothing about defence and nothing about procurement, which is not a good combination for the role they're in. And it is a big problem, but all the chiefs of staff, former chiefs of staff, I mean, George Robertson now, everyone is saying, come on. I mean, and the electorate are concerned about the safety and security of this country.
There's a big lobbying, a military-industrial complex, as it was identified in the US in the 1960s, that basically feeds on taxpayer money. So we've got to be, and George Robertson is part of that.
The biggest, biggest industrial company in this country is BAE. And I mean, it's the biggest employer, and so much of our economy depends on defence manufacturing. It's a vital part of this economy, and therefore it needs to be looked after. And where on earth are we going to get growth in this country, which these people in government still seem to have some fantastic fantasy idea that we're going to get growth when all they're doing is giving money to people who are not working.
This is many people are watching and saying the benefits bill, talking about waste, the benefits bill is the area we need to cut back and spend more on defence.
It's always easier to say. The biggest component is pensions, which people pay through national insurance to
But it's a Labour minister saying it, Kevin. A former Labour minister saying it, who takes the whip in the Lords.
I think a
Starmer advisor saying you can't do it with all this benefit spending.
I think he requires a fierce grilling on his sums and the money that is wasted, rather than just swallowing
come on this programme and we'll give you a fierce grilling. We might even invite Kevin Maguire.
Thank you.
Certainly invite Piers.
Yeah, absolutely. These two will be back, but we're going to take a quick break for the news headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you from the newsroom, 10:30. Well, as we were just hearing, a former NATO Secretary-General is warning the UK's security is in peril. Lord Robertson will use a speech later to accuse Treasury officials of vandalism after delays to a long-awaited defence investment plan. The government insists, though, spending is rising at its fastest rate since the Cold War. US Vice President J.D. Vance says the ball is now in Iran's court to agree a deal to end the conflict. It comes as the US begins a blockade of Iranian ports following failed negotiations between Tehran and Washington. JD Vance has also called on the Vatican to stick to matters of morality after Donald Trump heavily criticised Pope Leo. The US president refused to apologise for calling the pontiff weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. The Pope had condemned the war on Iran. Here, 11 police officers are under investigation over their handling of a fatal crash at a primary school in London. 2 8-year-old girls were killed when a Land Rover hit the school in Wimbledon in July 2023. The police watchdog says it's now examining how the incident was handled by Scotland Yard. And the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have arrived in Australia for a private visit combining charity work and commercial events. Prince Harry and Meghan will meet patients, veterans and families while also appearing at paid events, including a private wellness retreat. Those are the latest headlines for now. More news at 11.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much, Sam. OK, still ahead, King Charles has called on Prince William to protect Queen Camilla's future role in the monarchy. After he dies, we'll have the latest on that story. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News. We'll see you very soon.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A chilly but sunny start for many in the east. Don't get used to that sunshine though, because the cloud is spilling in from the west, bringing some outbreaks of rain and increasing breeze as well. The wind's quite light though, with plenty of sunshine, but a chilly start across eastern England and much of Scotland. It's not as cold as yesterday morning further west because that cloud has been moving in, making for a grey day over Wales, Northern Ireland, western England, with outbreaks of rain and drizzle here and there. That rain and drizzle will spread to northwest England, southern Scotland. Eastern England hanging on to some brightness, along with much of northern Scotland. 16, 17, 18 possible here. Further west, temperatures still getting into the mid to high teens, so a little milder than yesterday for many, but that breeze will increase. Now, the far north of Scotland hanging on to the fine weather even into this evening, but the rain and drizzle will be spreading into central Scotland by this stage. Damp for most of the afternoon across southwest Scotland. For most of the day, rain on and off across Northern Ireland, but nothing too heavy at this stage. We'll see some of that drizzly rain arriving in southeast England. And it's going to be a dull, damp day for much of South Wales and southwest England too. We could see some heavier bursts of rain moving in as it all continues to drift northwards. But we'll eventually see that cloud spilling into northern Scotland. The wind's continuing to strengthen, getting quite blustery in places, particularly around western coasts overnight, with further outbreaks of rain coming in here. But with all that cloud, wind coming up from the south or southwest, it's going to be a very mild night. Temperatures in many towns and cities staying in double digits. So a mild start to Wednesday, a fairly drab day, though lots of cloud around. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle for many, and then a band of heavier rain coming into western areas from late morning onwards, really, into Wales, southwest England. Brighter skies will follow on behind that with some sunny spells. A few showers across the east, where it will again be pretty mild, with temperatures likely to reach the high teens. Bye for now.
Thank you, Britain, for all of you who listen to GB News Radio.
Whether you're at home or on the go, you're making us Britain's news channel and Britain's radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A1 northbound in Lincolnshire, between the A151 and the A607, one of two lanes is closed, with recovery expected around midday. On the M6 southbound between Junction 13 and Junction 12, an overturned vehicle is causing lane closures and delays of around 30 minutes, easing late this morning. On the M1 northbound, the entry slip at Junction 12 is shut after a vehicle left the carriageway. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast is disrupted between Rugby or Northampton and Milton Keynes, and East Midlands Railway between Warrington Central and Liverpool Lime Street. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Of emails in Europe.
Hello, welcome back. It's coming up to 22:11.
I'm using somebody else's laptop.
And this is Britain's Newsroom. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you send me your laptop, and I've just put the fear of God into them by saying I've been sending lots of emails in your behalf.
Because Andrew Pearce turned up for work today with forgetting your glasses, forgetting your mobile phone, and forgetting your laptop.
Apart from that, Donald Trump has been hit with heavy criticism, including from me, after he posted and deleted an image of himself looking very similar to Jesus Christ, while at the same time telling the Pope the only reason he was in the Vatican was because of Donald Trump. If you're listening on the radio, here is the image. It was generated on AI some weeks ago by an admirer, but it's been tampered with or changed to include a devil-like satanic figure hovering above the president.
We don't know who did that. Yeah, it's all over the front of the pages today.
The president is saying actually he intended it to look like he was a doctor administering care for the sick and the Red Cross, but few are convinced.
Exactly. It is all over your front pages this morning.
Around the world.
Daily Star have got the best. My former newspaper, by the way, have got the best headline.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Yeah, they have splashed on that Monty Python classic. You are not the Messiah, you are just a very naughty boy. Great headline, well done there. OK, US political commentator Nora Lee Knotson joins us now to actually talk about the serious side of how this is actually going to go down with the Catholic voters in America. Nora Lee, thank you for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you.
This is a big mistake by Trump. It's really going to annoy a lot of voters, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. We have 77 million Catholics in the United States. There are 1.4 billion globally. There are 2.4 billion Christians globally. But firstly and foremost, we are human beings. And the universal message of humanity that the Pope was trying to talk about when he criticized Donald Trump's comments about threatening to annihilate an entire civilization of 90 million people, he said it was unacceptable. As a human being, I think we can all relate to that, and I would even argue that was unconscionable. The Pope has spoken out as well about the gospel, and the gospel uses a message of peace and diplomacy and dialogue. And he has said that others are using the gospel wrongly to justify military action, to justify war. And if we think about war, it should be a last resort. And as a Republican who voted for Trump, on his platform of peace, no new wars, no forever wars, I believe he betrayed his voters. And I believe he has made a colossal mistake, but he is unable to backtrack on that mistake he has made. And he's trying to divert the conversation from peace, which is what the Pope is trying to focus on, and now as if he's some divine creature above the Pope himself. It's rather disgraceful, but I think Trump knows he's made a mistake. He deleted the post. Even his own followers on Truth Social, who never really criticized him, have criticized him.
Do you think he made it worse, Nora Lee, by then pretending, give him credit, by saying it was nothing to do with the Pope or Jesus, it was all to do with being a doctor, and that to project anything else is fake news? It didn't convince me. I don't think it convinced many people. Do you think he made it worse in that respect?
I think you're right. It just felt like a blatant lie. We know doctors wear scrubs. They're normally blue. You would have a stethoscope. What he's wearing is what somebody divine would be wearing, such as Jesus Christ. So that's a lie. And he's also come out and said, you know, to the Pope that he's delivered on his promise to the people. And that as well is a lie, because he has not delivered on his promise of peace. We were all for peace, and he's backtracked on that.
Nora Lee, if he did apologise, and we know Donald Trump doesn't, I don't think I remember him apologising full stop for anything. If he did apologise, would that undo some of the damage he's done?
I think President Trump is not good at admitting mistakes. I think by deleting the post, that's his admission that it was a mistake, and trying to cover it up as if he was a doctor is his way of trying to move on from it. But I believe J.D. Vance, our vice president, coming out and dictating to the Pope, telling him he should focus on moral issues. Well, what is not more moral than going to a war that many believe is an unjust war, an illegal war, where a lot of innocent people are being killed, where 4 million people are being displaced in the region, where we have created gross instability for the world. We've undermined America morally on the global stage. We've undermined ourselves economically in the rest of the world. And we've undermined our soft power, which was priceless. What is our word worth now in America if we try diplomacy, if we know that we will just go and strike a nation?
Norley, just very quickly and finally, do you think J.D. Vance would be a better president for you at the moment?
I think, unfortunately, it's a poisoned chalice. And I think Trump and the people around him have been poisoned by these misguided actions they have taken in Iran and trying to cover it up. The best thing that we can hope for is during this 2-week ceasefire that we do get an exit and peace and stability. But I think it's hard to come back from what was done.
OK, Norley, thank you very much. That's US political commentator Norley Knotson there. Very strong words.
Strong words indeed, because she's often been a fan of Trump. Now, up next, we're going up to the breaking news that Downing Street have announced that the Prime Minister and the French President Emmanuel Macron will co-host a summit in Paris on Friday, focus on efforts to open the Strait of Hormuz. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I mean, admirable for trying, but come on, what skin have we got in that game?
Absolutely nothing whatsoever.
For God's sake.
We can't even protect the channel.
We couldn't even get our own blooming ship there, and when it does get the HMS Dragon, we have to withdraw it because the waterworks have gone wrong.
It's too important. In any case, if you are in search of some holiday sun, a gear change here. If you are in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of those top European destinations.
I don't think they might be being cynical like that. I think they're...
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Sunny skies across most of Spain, some thundery showers on Wednesday in Italy, and after some sunshine, things turning showery in Greece. Things warming up in the Canaries through the rest of this week. Sunny spells on Wednesday. Lots of sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Main exception will be the far northwest, where there will be some rain moving in. Heavy showers, even thunderstorms likely in Italy, particularly in Rome. Much of Greece dry and sunny on Wednesday, but the showers will move in here later on in the week, and a continued risk of thunderstorms in Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. It is coming up to 10 to 11.
Well, we're going to go and talk to Chris Hope, aren't we?
We are,
Let's go,
indeed,
because Never Hear Kia is going off to France on Friday to co-host a summit with Emmanuel Macron on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Don't think they'll have much luck with that, but let's see what Christopher Hope thinks.
Christopher.
Andrew and Dawn, that's right. So Sir Keir Starmer will be co-chairing a meeting with France's Emmanuel Macron on Friday in Paris as part of this coalition of the willing, if you like, being drawn of 30 or 40 like-minded countries to try and secure the safety of passage of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz and ensure there's a lasting ceasefire. That's what they want to do. And separate to that, we've just had it confirmed in the past few moments, the government has set up a new committee called the Middle East Response Committee, chaired by the Prime Minister today. You'll see what you see on the screen there, the Strait of Hormuz, getting that open. It will focus on medium-term security planning, the domestic response, the international response to the war in Iran, and drive forward what they call policy engagement to ensure government is best equipped to protect UK public and interests abroad. They want to take steps, they say, to practically shape our future and deliver on priorities that matter to working people. We've no idea if it's in response to what George Robertson said today, but this is the government moving slowly into getting into a more of a war-focused position.
OK, thank you very much, Chris. That's Christopher Hope, our political editor. Thank you. OK, moving on now, contributing editor of The Critic, Chris Bayliss, joins us to talk about the fuel crisis. Well, we've just heard the breaking news that we're in the hands of Macron and Keir Starmer to sort it all out for us.
Well, that'll sort it out then.
Oh, joy. So, yeah, we've seen a turbulent couple of days in terms of the oil market internationally. Prices dropped down yesterday morning into the 90s per dollar per barrel. That was on the strength of hopes of a deal. They then went back up again when it looked like the blockade was being imposed, back down again when it looked like there was a chance of a last-minute deal, back up again overnight. And then this morning they've levelled down. They're down now below $100 a barrel in the high 90s, which is still, in historic terms, very high, but lower than they have.
One of the motoring organisations, Chris, I think it was the RAC, called it and said, we think that's it, oil prices have peaked. And I thought, I think we need to get you on to talk about this, because I suspect they are still up and down like a yo-yo, reacting to what's going on diplomatically, or not.
We're now at the point in the cycle where you've got traders in the markets who are really anticipating what's going to happen over the course of the subsequent couple of hours. What are other people going to do? And the market's now just reacting on every latest little bit of news. I think that any suggestion that it's peaked, it might be true, but I think it's premature to say that. We're really looking at the politics of it now and how this plays out. Obviously, Trump has put in his blockade as in some sort of attempt to try and regain some control over what's going on. He wasn't really getting anything out of the Iranians over the last week or so. There were moments where it looked like it. And really, I think the question we have to ask is, what is he hoping to get from the Iranians when he's decimated their leadership? What capability have they got to actually come to a ceasefire?
You're saying there's no one to do a deal with.
Well, this is it. That if you look at Trump's negotiating strategy from his days in business and into politics, and in the past it's worked successfully on the Iranians to some extent, certainly in his first term. Last year he did it to Netanyahu at one point. And his strategy is to try and find an individual human decision maker, the person that actually has the authority to do what he wants to happen. He backs them into a corner, he piles the pressure on, it's all psychological, and he isolates that person and uses strategic escalation to get what he wants. Now with what he did in February and March and the decimation of Iran's leadership, there's nobody really there for him to negotiate with in that. He's stood in a corner by himself.
Fascinating.
Indeed. Chris, thank you so much. That's contributing editor of The Critic, Chris Bayliss, there for you. OK, still ahead, we have the twists and turns of Harry and Meghan's unofficial royal tour. Andrew loved this story.
Yeah.
This is Britain's
ripping off the Australian taxpayers as opposed to the British taxpayers.
Oh, after the weather, it might be stormy.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A chilly but sunny start for many in the east. Don't get used to that sunshine, though, because the cloud is spilling in from the west, bringing some outbreaks of rain and increasing breeze as well. The wind's quite light, though, with plenty of sunshine, but a chilly start across eastern England and much of Scotland. It's not as cold as yesterday morning further west because that cloud has been moving in, making for a grey day over Wales, Northern Ireland, western England, with outbreaks of rain and drizzle here and there. That rain and drizzle will spread to northwest England, southern Scotland. Eastern England hanging on to some brightness, along with much of northern Scotland. 16, 17, 18 possible here. Further west, temperatures still getting into the mid to high teens, so a little milder than yesterday for many, but that breeze will increase. Now, the far north of Scotland hanging on to the fine weather even into this evening, but the rain and drizzle will be spreading into central Scotland by this stage. Damp for most of the afternoon across southwest Scotland. For most of the day, rain on and off across Northern Ireland, but nothing too heavy at this stage. We'll see some of that drizzly rain arriving in southeast England. And it's going to be a dull, damp day for much of South Wales and southwest England too. We could see some heavier bursts of rain moving in as it all continues to drift northwards. But we'll eventually see that cloud spilling into northern Scotland. The wind's continuing to strengthen, getting quite blustery in places, particularly around western coasts overnight, with further outbreaks of rain coming in here. But with all that cloud, wind coming up from the south or southwest, it's going to be a very mild night. Temperatures in many towns and cities staying in double digits. So a mild start to Wednesday, a fairly drab day, though. Lots of cloud around, outbreaks of rain and drizzle for many, and then a band of heavier rain coming into western areas from late morning onwards, really, into Wales, southwest England. Brighter skies will follow on behind that with some sunny spells. A few showers across the east, where it will again be pretty mild, with temperatures likely to reach the high teens. Bye for now.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Time is ticking on your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you, so secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Every week there are stories that shape the national conversation.
We'll be discussing that.
And on Saturday Morning Live, we break them down.
Is that true? This is fascinating, isn't it?
The politics, the headlines, the debates everyone's talking about.
And the questions that you want answered. Do you think that was a legitimate attack for him to make?
What led you to set up this fantastic movement?
You know what? It's a great question, Olivia.
So what are you waiting for?
Your weekend starts here. Saturdays at 10 a.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain,
with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 11 o'clock on Tuesday, the 14th of April. We're live across the UK, Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce, and that's Dawn Neeson.
Thank you very much for remembering, Andrew. OK, a Britain left exposed. A scathing former NATO Secretary-General accuses the government of a corrosive complacency towards defence, putting the UK in peril. That's former head of the British Army, Lord Richard Dannett, spoke to GB News Breakfast.
Nice words at international conferences from the Prime Minister just aren't good enough. We've got to put more cash on the table. Rachel Reeves won't like it, but we've got to make sure that we can reinvest in our armed forces.
But don't worry, the Prime Minister's off again. This time he's going to Paris, where he'll co-host a summit focused on efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Rachel Reeves has hit out at Donald Trump over the Iran war folly, which she says is now directly affecting UK families, a bit like her budget.
That's right, Rachel Reeves says there's a folly at the heart of Donald Trump's plan against Iran and no exit plan. Last week, the PM said he was fed up with the Prime Minister. Is the special relationship under severe strain now over the Middle East?
Indeed. Meanwhile, rural Britain rebels. Farmers tell Rachel Reeves to cut fuel taxes or face Ireland-style disruption across Britain's roads.
I have no doubt that if appropriate procedures had been in place, this dreadful event would not have happened.
How devastating for the families. The inquiry into those attacks find it could and should have been avoided. We're asking this very simple question. Who's going to be sacked over this? Is anyone going to be prosecuted? And we think we know the answer.
Yes, exactly. It's very sad. There's three little girls now. Meanwhile, Australia welcomes Harry and Meghan as the Sussexes touch down for an unofficial royal tour. And guess who's paying for their security? Oh, that story, I just can't. Those three little girls, those pictures, it just breaks my heart. They should still be with their mums and dads.
Of course they should.
Still be with their families.
And we have to remember also many other children on that terrible day, that nightmare day, suffered life-changing injuries, and they saw things that children should never see.
No, of course, they will never ever get over it. And
the teacher.
This should have been
the young girl who was teaching them. Taylor Swift dance class.
This should not have happened. No. So many opportunities to stop it. And I'm sorry, I'm going to keep coming back to the parents.
Yeah.
The parents were blamed. I've never heard a judge, I know it's a former judge, talk so scathingly about parental responsibility. Yeah. I've never heard such strong words from anyone in the judiciary about that, the parents and how little they did to stop their boy.
And there was also the usual, we hear it so many times, was there a resistance to act against him because of his alleged autism, but also the colour of his skin?
Yeah, black boy with a knife, we're not going to go there. It's absolutely horrible. Meanwhile, those three little girls no longer with their mums and dads.
Terrible.
Heartbreaking.
Tell us what you think. Send your views, post your comments by visiting
gbnews.com/yoursay or scan the QR code. All of that coming up after the news with Sam Francis.
Andrew, Dawn, thank you very much. Good morning to you. Just coming up to 4 minutes past 11. A senior government advisor is warning the UK is not safe and faces growing threats to national security. Lord Robertson says there is corrosive complacency in political leadership and warns Britain is underprepared for modern conflict. In a statement later today, he will say that defence must be prioritised as pressure grows on the government to increase military spending. Well, earlier Labour Minister Karen Smythe told us investment is already rising to meet new global threats, and she went on to blame the previous Conservative government for what she called the hollowing out of the defence forces.
We were very clear when we came into government in our manifesto commitment that we needed to reverse that decline, and we've set about doing that immediately. I understand when people are frustrated that doesn't happen more quickly, but we have responded to that already. We will reach 2.6% of spending next year. The Tories never got anywhere near that. So we are putting that right. We're bringing that industry, building more ships up in the Clyde, submarines in Derby.
Also this morning, the US Vice President, J.D. Vance, has said the ball is in Iran's court if it wants to reach a deal to end the conflict in the Middle East. He says progress was made in recent talks, but warned it's now up to Tehran to act. It comes after negotiations between the US and Iran collapsed, with Washington now enforcing a blockade of Iran's ports to increase pressure. Iran, though, has accused the US of making excessive demands, raising fears the standoff could escalate further. J.D. Vance has also told the Vatican to stick to matters of morality as tensions grow between Washington and the Catholic Church. His comments come after Donald Trump heavily criticised Pope Leo, calling him weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. The row follows the Pope's criticism of the war with Iran, where he's urged peace and warned against the moral consequences of conflict. Here, 11 police officers are under investigation over the handling of the fatal crash at a primary school in Wimbledon. 2 8-year-old girls were sadly killed when a Land Rover hit the study prep school in July 2023. The police watchdog says it's examining the standard of the initial investigation carried out by Scotland Yard. It will look at how the incident was handled in the immediate aftermath, as questions remain over whether procedures were properly followed. Cancer diagnosis shouldn't be a matter of luck. That is the message from the Health Secretary as the government invests £237 million in new NHS diagnostic centres. 4 new sites will open, with dozens more expanded to bring tests closer to patients' homes. Ministers say it's all part of the biggest expansion in diagnostics in a generation, aimed at catching disease earlier. But latest figures show cancer targets are still being missed, with fewer than 3/4 of patients getting their results within 28 days. Councils across England risk losing up to 1/3 of their road repair funding if they fail to show they're fixing potholes effectively. The Department for Transport says more than £500 million will be withheld unless local authorities can prove the money is being spent properly. Ministers say the move will ensure better value for drivers, but councillors must now publish detailed plans and show long-term strategies for maintaining roads. It comes as the cost of fixing local roads is now estimated at nearly £19 billion. Around 65,000 young people will be trained for jobs in key industries under a government investment plan in further education. £175 million will fund 19 technical excellence colleges across England, focusing on sectors like defence, clean energy, digital and manufacturing. Ministers say the move will help fill a growing skills gap, with nearly 600,000 workers needed in those industries by 2030. They argue it will create a pipeline into well-paid jobs, but it comes as nearly 1 million young people are currently not in education, employment or in training. And the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have arrived in Australia for a 4-day visit combining charity work and commercial engagements. Prince Harry and Meghan will meet patients, veterans and families there, while also appearing at paid events, including a keynote speech and a private wellness retreat. It's their first visit to Australia since 2018. Those are the 11 o'clock headlines. More in half an hour.
Hello and welcome. This is Britain's Newsroom, live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Dawn Neeson. And it is now coming up to 9 minutes past 11 o'clock. So thank you so much for your company today.
Well, breaking news, the Prime Minister's off again. This time he's going to Paris. He and Macron, the President of France, are going to co-host a summit focused on efforts to open the Strait of Hormuz. Commendable stuff, but I can't see what they can achieve in Paris.
Shall we ask Christopher Hope what they could possibly hope to achieve? No pun intended.
They're both two men trying to be seen to be doing something.
To be doing something, but have done nothing so far. Christopher.
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot has taken place so far. I mean, military planners met last Monday, I think it was, in Northwood, where the UK Army is based, and they've been planning for how the UK can support a prolonged ceasefire and get that Gulf of Hormuz open. They want any countries involved who can bring what they specialise in. We do have some mine-sweeping capability. We don't have many ships, of course. We know that, don't we, from the chaos, frankly, over the military response to the war against Iran by the US. But yeah, they're trying to bring together these various elements of maybe 40 countries, a coalition of the willing, if you like, similar to the one formed to try and enforce a peace, if one is ever agreed, between Ukraine and Russia. And that's what they're doing on Friday. As we speak, though, Rachel Reeves has given an interview to the Daily Mirror in which she hasn't really helped things in terms of relationships with Donald Trump and the so-called special relationship. She says she is very angry and frustrated at the US actions in Iran, hitting families. She says this: the US went into this war without a clear exit plan, without a clear idea of what they are trying to achieve. Now, the Chancellor is on the way to Washington, where she's attending an IMF meeting. Whether she's asked to tea and cake in the Oval Office with the President is unlikely. And these comments from Rachel Reeves, they echo what was said by the PM last week. He said he was fed up with the way that these foreign wars in Ukraine, caused by Putin against Iran, it started by Donald Trump, are affecting families here in the UK with the soaring cost of petrol and the risk to increased heating prices. Now, the PM has established a new committee today. It's called the Medium Term Security Planning Committee. It brings together, we're told, international response, domestic response, to drive forward policy engagement. They say, sources tell us they want to take steps to proactively shape our future and deliver on priorities that matter to working people. But yet again, to me, this illustrates how we are really a bystander in this war. That is a choice made by our Prime Minister on legal advice from Lord Hermer, his Attorney General. We are not involved. We are watching from the side. We are using what we can, which I suppose is a form of a convening power with France to bring together concerned allies. But frankly, this is America's war, and we're just watching it.
Christopher, sorry, what was it? What have they just set up again? Run that past me. There's so many words in there. I lost the will to live halfway through.
Yeah, it's called a Medium-Term Security Planning Committee. It will meet regularly, normally chaired by the Cabinet Secretary Antonio Romeo, with officials and other experts. But today's one, the first one, is chaired by the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, focusing on how to open up the Strait of Hormuz to tanker traffic, oil tanker traffic. I mean, you know, critics would say, here's our legally bound Prime Minister setting up a committee to deal with a response to a war. But I suppose this is how Whitehall works. They're establishing a committee to try and put us on a front foot. And the context of this, of course, is this excoriating attack on that man there, Sir Keir Starmer, by his former Labour Defence Secretary, George Robertson, Lord Robertson of Port Ellen. He, of course, was also a NATO Secretary General. He said, we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget. He said this: we are underprepared, we are underinsured, we are under attack, we are not safe. Britain's national security and safety is in peril. And the person he blamed, by the way, was the Treasury. He said the Treasury were taking part, non-military experts there were engaged in vandalism on the defence budget. So frankly, what's happening is everyone is shouting, everyone is rowing at the top of government, but families, our viewers and listeners, GB News, are suffering.
Yeah, and the Prime Minister's response, Chris, is to set up another committee.
I'm afraid that is what has happened. Yes, critics will say, here we go again, a legally bound, a process-driven Prime Minister establishing a committee, but he would say, were to speak to us, that you need a committee to get Whitehall to do things.
Right, he would say that, wouldn't he?
Krista, have we had any response yet to what Lord Robertson is saying about the defence spending and the lack of it? And the words are incredibly strong. I don't remember ever hearing anyone talk in such strong words about their own party, basically. Have we had any response from the Prime Minister's office or from government at all?
Well, we have had that minister on the morning round who said that he reiterated the targets we've set ourselves to get to 2.5% and then 3% and then to 3.5% by 2035. So they're trying to ratchet up spending, but quite frankly, where's the money going to come from? Are we going to borrow more? Will that benefits bill be cut into? 400 billion spent on benefits by the end of the decade. Is that really appropriate? Can we not cut some money off that to keep us all safe? These are choices that have to be made before too long. We are overdue. This defence industrial strategy is announced last autumn. We're still waiting for it. Now it's April. Frankly, this government's got to get a grip, and soon. There's a problem with this spending for the families dealing with the petrol prices. We are not safe, as Lord Robertson says. That is a concern.
OK. Chopper, thank you very much. That's Christopher Hope there for us on the someone having a meeting about doing something.
Yeah. I sort of get that Prime Minister's going to France to talk to Macron. Macron's a big player. Macron got his ships to Cyprus days and days before we got ours, didn't she? We're going to cross live now to the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch. There she is. Good morning, Mrs Badenoch. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm very well. I'm here with the Shadow Cabinet. We're cleaning up some graffiti in London.
Well, can I ask you first of all, Mrs Badenoch, the Pope, do you accept, do you think the President of the United States should apologise for what I think many Roman Catholics around the world, the 77 million Roman Catholics in the United States, may say about his depiction of himself as Jesus?
So Andrew, I'm married to a Catholic. I have 3 Catholic children. I can tell you that image did not go down well in my household. It was so bizarre. I think it's been deleted now. President Trump is not someone who I think has ever apologized, but those are the sorts of things that random people do as jokes. That's not what the President of the United States should be putting out. Strongly disagree with it.
Yeah. And can we move you on as well to the front page of the Financial Times? You'd have seen it. The Secretary-General former of NATO, Lord Robertson, launching quite the most extraordinary attack. He's done Labour's strategic defence review, and he says we cannot defend Britain with an ever-expanding welfare budget. He accuses the Treasury of acting like vandals. We're not prepared, we're not insured enough, and he reminds us that the Chancellor only mentioned defence once in her entire budget.
Yes, I agree completely with Lord Robertson. He is saying what I have been saying now for 4 months, that Labour has become the welfare party. I actually met him in December, long before this war in Iran started. He talked to me about the strategic defence review and how we should be working cross-party. I have been asking Keir Starmer to do that. Even yesterday, I said, let's work together to find the money. You know what he said? No thanks. He is not interested. All they care about is welfare. We have come up with ideas for how we can get to 3% by the end of this Parliament. We talked about repurposing the wasteful net zero project money. There's about 17 to possibly 50 billion in there. We've talked about putting the 2-child benefit cap back on. Use that money to get 20,000 soldiers, 6,000 regulars, 14,000 reservists. I hope the Prime Minister will work with me. I don't think he is interested, but the fact that a former Labour Defence Secretary, a former Secretary General of NATO, is having to criticise his own party shows just how bad they are. And it's not just them. He also said that he asked to meet with the leader of Reform and the leader of the Liberal Democrats. None of them took up this offer to understand the Strategic Defence Review. I did, and my shadow cabinet did, because we are serious people. We want to get this country working again. That's why they're out there cleaning the graffiti, and that's why we've got a plan on defence.
Can I move you on as a mum as well as a politician to the other story today? The Southport killer's parents should have stopped him. The inquiry chair said it was almost certain the attack could have been prevented if the parents had not spoken up, which means those 3 little girls would still be with us. Should we be considering looking into charging the parents?
So I have already looked at this. We are trying to see if there are any possible legal avenues, but unfortunately, failing to report an offence is not yet a criminal law. But this is the real thing that bugs me, Dawn, that these were people who were refugees to our country. They fled a horrific genocide. They know what violence looks like. And when they saw that someone in their household was very likely to do the same to other people's children, they did nothing. I think that is appalling. I think that they have a lot of questions to answer, and I think we should look at every possible avenue to see what we can do, if not from a criminal side, then potentially even from an immigration side. Rwanda is a safe country now. I mean, if they don't have citizenship here, then I think we should be looking at whether they should be going back there. I think they should be coming out and apologizing to the British public. We have shown so much kindness to so many people, and all we have had in return is this sort of horrific stuff. It's not all we've had, but from some people, all we've had in return are these horrific incidents and no contrition, no apology. That's the sort of thing that would at least go to show that they were very sorry for what happened. That report depressed me so much. As a mother, I think about those 3 young children. I think about their teacher. They were at a Taylor Swift dance class, for goodness sake. It is so unfair. It is not right. That should not happen to any child in our country.
Do you think, again, Mrs. Baynott, that we've seen this in the Vatican case in Nottingham, the killer of those 2 youngsters, the 2 youngsters and the school caretaker? There was the official report talked about how there was reluctance to act against him because of his skin colour. This report has also alluded to the fact, was there resistance to take action against this boy because there'd be a cry of racism? A lot of people watching, listening to this will be holding their head in horror when all that mattered was somebody raising the alarm about these sick people in our community.
So I gave a speech on this very issue at our spring conference. There is a lot of rot that has gone in to the way policy is handled around mental health. Race should not come into it. I also gave another speech about culture and integration. There should be equality under the law. It is not right for people to be counting how many black or brown or white people have gone in for a particular crime and say, oh, well, maybe that's too much, we should let them off. It is killing people, literally. If someone is harmful and unsafe, they should be sectioned, they should be put away. If not in an asylum, then in a prison. They shouldn't be let out on the streets on the basis of their skin color. That's not what this country is about. It's not what Conservatives believe in. This is something that I've spoken about even in government. Do you remember when I put out that report on race saying this is not a racist country, this skin color should not come into it? I had Labour and all these people on the left attacking me and those commissioners. Now we can see what happens when no one does anything. We need to start getting serious. It's not just Vatican, it's not just Nottingham, it's not just Southport. We saw it even with the Manchester Arena. We saw it with the rape gangs scandal. People saying, let's not say anything, we don't want to be called racist. That is not what we should be worried about. We should be worried about the safety and the security of people on our streets, especially children, young people, the people who seem to be losing their lives more than anyone else. It is so unfair, and we need to bring back fairness to our justice system.
All right, that's Kemi Baynott, the Conservative leader. Thank you very much, and we'll let you carry on with your scrubbing of those walls. Very good job you're doing too.
Thank you very much. The thing is with what Kemi's doing there, I mean, you know, the cleaning of the graffiti, it's a general lack of respect we have in this country now. A lack of respect we have for one another, a lack of respect we have for our environment, our cities, and it's just a lack of respect for the authorities as well. But, you know, the most important thing I think she said there was about our, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to, I think he's a piece of filth, the killer of those 3 little girls, the fact that his parents, under Kemi's government, could face deportation.
Interesting.
Very strong words indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because a lot of people, if you read the report, they were... The chairman of the report, he singled them out for criticism. Again and again, they ignored warning signs. Of course, they love their child, but they have a duty. You
love your child so much that you let them order knives and machetes and go out and kill 3 little kids.
And have rice in your bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, that's what...
Is that a bit of a giveaway?
It's just, I'm sorry, there are huge... I'm with Kemi on this one. There are huge questions to be answered with those parents. Meanwhile, it's we're talking about Harry and Meghan being funded by the taxpayer. I don't mind funding them as much as funding the parents of this killer. we are looking after them. They have got a life in anonymous safety funded by the taxpayers.
They're being protected now. Yeah. Now it's time to give away. The clock's ticking. Your chance to win £25,000 in cash and a 4-berth motorhome, which I know Dawn Neeson has got her eyes on.
Are you coming with me?
No. It's worth over £92,000 and could be yours. Here's how you win it.
Time is ticking on your chance to win our biggest prize of the year so far. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van, just in time for summer. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this stylish home from home comes with all of the features you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £67,000. Alloy wheels, solar panel and pop-top bunks for an optional sleeping area. You'll also get an additional £25,000 in tax-free cash. Our next winner really could be you. So secure your place in the draw today. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck. I think I have convinced Andrew Pearce to come with me on a caravan holiday, haven't I, Andrew?
You have not convinced me.
Any case, coming up next, the horrible story we were just discussing with Kemi Badenoch now. The Southport deaths were preventable. A damning inquiry into the attacks which killed those 3 young little girls. You can see on your screen now, BB King, Alice de Silva Gear and Elsie Dot Stancombe, 3 little angels who should still be with their mums and dads. That could and should have been avoided. We'll be going through that and much more with Kevin McQuire and Piers Pottinger in your newspaper today. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Make sure you say it's a podcast.
It's 29 minutes past 11. Oh my God, it's been a long day.
Just making sure that Dawn needs some plugs mine and Kevin's podcast.
Yes.
Thank you very much. She just did.
Well done.
Any case,
Thanks,
look, it's
Pet.
Kevin Maguire, who never shuts up, and Piers Pottinger, who is the voice of sanity in the room at the moment. You still got a podcast, haven't you, evidently?
We have. Have you heard about it?
No,
Piers
no,
versus
mate.
Maguire. Yeah.
Funny that.
Where we get your
Have you got a
podcasts?
podcast?
No, thank you.
Would you like to come on
No,
ours?
I don't want to. No.
Have you got a podcast, Piers? You used to be very good, actually.
Yes,
Very
we
good.
should do a podcast. Chopper does a podcast as
You
well.
could do your own.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, the two of you.
Yeah.
Right and right.
Kevin, you're a mate of Rachel Reeves, aren't you?
I wouldn't go that
Ish.
far,
Oh.
ever since I criticised the winter fuel cut.
Yes,
the moment
you did.
she announced
you
it.
did. You were on social media immediately saying, big mistake. And it was probably the biggest mistake this government has made.
Oh, yeah, 3 weeks in, you just alienate people, and they've been on the run ever
But
since.
she's now on the way to Washington, going to see the IMF, and she is, in your paper, the Mirror Online, attacking Trump for the war.
Yeah, she's been interviewed on the flight, and she says, look, the war's a folly because there's no clear exit plan. We didn't start it. We didn't want it. Trump doesn't know how to end it. And there's those Resolution Foundation, the think tank, which is normally Labour-leaning, warning it could cost a typical household 480 quid.
A lot of money.
You see, I think that's a conservative with a small c estimate. Anyone who's looked at the price of petrol and diesel, which has soared, will be fearing it's going to go on and on.
We were talking to an oil expert just earlier, Piers, and he said, although the RAC has said they think petrol prices has peaked, he said they haven't.
No,
because
no,
they're going up,
it-
it's up and down the whole day,
There's
every day.
a lot of lag time anyway.
Yes.
And also it doesn't help that Ed Millimad and his Looney Tunes policies...
Say what you think, Piers.
I mean, we've got plenty of oil and gas.
Yeah.
Why the hell aren't we drilling them and using our own?
Drill,
Hang on, lads. Hang on, lads. Here, undue Dawn. Right.
You've noticed there's a woman in the room.
Largely, she hadn't said anything at that point on this. We've largely pumped dry the North Sea.
No, we haven't.
As you see in the USA, which is largely energy self-sufficient, prices have soared there too.
Yes, but
producing
we could
it
have
doesn't protect
energy
you
security,
because it's globally traded.
Kevin, if we get the oil and gas out of the North Sea, it's energy security.
Energy security is generating our power from secure, stable, renewable sources here.
We may end up later on
wind,
this
solar,
year
nuclear.
in having to take energy from America.
Yeah.
So rubbishing Trump may not be the smartest diplomatic move of the moment. Also, I noticed she keeps using the Labour Party's favourite word at the moment is frustrated. When you see ministers doing the round, they say, oh, well, I recognise how people are frustrated. Well, the people are not frustrated. They're very angry with this government.
Yeah.
And the mess we're in and the cost of living problems we have is entirely, at the moment, down to Rachel Reeves herself. And I mean, if she's just going to hand out look, they give handouts to people on benefits. There's no stimulus to business in this country for growth. We just take in more and more immigrants, give them everything they want for free at the taxpayers'
come on, Piers.
And it's becoming...
Come on.
Rachel Reeves has no
terrible
idea
caricature
at all how to run the economy.
Terrible
She's
caricature.
still banned from her own pub.
Yes, that's very true. And she has...
Which she never used to go for a drink.
Lord Robertson, who you know very well, we talked about him earlier, former Defence Secretary, invited him by Keir Starmer himself to do the Strategic Defence Review. He's accused the Treasury of vandalism.
Because it's not spending more money.
And he's also
we just heard a diatribe, most of it I just agreed with, about spending it, and now you're attacking for not spending enough.
Piers talks about benefits. Lord Robertson says we cannot defend Britain with all this expensive welfare budget?
Well, Reeves is going to see the IMF this time. She'll be back there soon begging for money to bail us out.
It wouldn't be the first Labour Chancellor, would she, to have done that?
Exactly.
That's not
Dennis Healy all over again.
Piers, you've got very angry here. Look, we are the 6th biggest defence spender in the world. We're in NATO, 32 nations. Look, we spend a lot. You've got to get a better bang for the buck rather than more
biggest
books.
Force in NATO?
Turkey.
And they've got an army 3 times our size. Our army is less than 70,000 in number now. I mean, one of the reasons we weren't in the war is that we had nothing to offer.
No.
I mean, what could we have done?
Well, we sent a ship there, which got there 3 weeks late.
About minesweepers going in. The point is the minesweepers are only going to go in once the Straits of Hormuz are reopened.
Yeah.
So that's going to be at the end of any resolution, if it ever comes. One of the problems, and this I do agree that with Reeves on one point, which is that Trump embarked on this war without a proper plan and had no clear objectives, and it's a mess.
Why would you want to be in that war? Because he starts it with Netanyahu. It goes disastrously wrong. He claims victory, then he demands unconditional surrender. Doesn't get it, so then he agrees to peace talks.
He's right.
But he's agreeing with you.
I'm agreeing with you.
But yeah, so why would we
really happen in this studio that people agree with Kevin Maguire. It's a rare event.
We wanted to be part of it.
To use this war to blame the entire British economy and say, oh, we're going to be worse off, and it's all down to the war. I mean,
she's not, though, is she?
It's like all politicians grasping at excuses where they can blame someone else for their own faults.
You cannot deny Trumpflation has come through. The reason, prices. You've got to listen to it instead of just dismissing it. Prices soared because the war started, and you've chalked. In fact, you've got 2 lots now chalking the Strait of Hormuz. You've got the enemies, Iran and the USA, both imposing their own blockades. I mean, this is madness, and all that extra fuel costs we're having, or fertiliser shortages, are because of Trump and that war.
Will get the blame.
They will.
Yes.
They will, because it's on their watch.
Kevin, even you have to admit that this is more to do with
the war than
just
happening.
the war. Even you have to admit that.
No, there's other economic problems, yes, but they've been made worse by the war.
And now they've got Starmer and Macron having yet another summit.
And he set up a committee.
The whole point about summit is you've got to have summit to say at them. And Trump hasn't got anything useful to say.
You mean Starmer?
Macron's a lame duck president.
He is.
Loathed by his country.
On the way out.
Has no power at all within the country anymore. And there is Starmer cozying up to him because it means he's trying desperatly to look like someone on an international stage. What's happened, by the way, I would ask Macron, I hope Macron asks Starmer, what's happened to this coalition of the willing that Starmer supposedly led to help Ukraine, which, by the way, is still being bombed to pieces by Russia?
Well, he was also going to put
so much for Europe's help there.
If you recall, he was actually talking about putting boots on the ground, God help us,
as peacekeepers, and I'm pleased to say that never happened, because Putin, I'm sure, would have aimed at British, French, German, whoever they were, peacekeepers, to kill some, and then what does NATO do? But
Europe, who promised Ukraine alone, hasn't been able to do so because they can't agree.
But the truth is, when we got a madman in the White House who likens himself now to Jesus, the Christ figure, and it's not the life of Brian. He's big as Dickus from that.
I think I would like Peter Griffin, actually, a Family Guy.
He's not a naughty boy, he's not the Messiah, he is big as Diggers.
I think that's a very good note to end it on. Kevin Maguire, Piers Pottinger, thank you.
He's not being rude, just in case you think he is.
No, it's a character.
It is a character.
Yes. He wasn't talking about himself, was he? No.
We're going to move on very quickly. We're going to hear from Reform UK spokesman Robert Jenrick, who's pulling us. It's a stunt, actually, at a petrol forecourt this morning. We'll be there, Britain's Newsroom, with Kevin Maguire. Oh, no, with Andrew Pearce and Dawn Meester.
Hello, welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. A bit of a damp and overcast afternoon to come. It will be mild, however, And actually across the far north and far east, it's going to remain dry. That's because we're furthest away from the weather front in those areas. But we do have a spell of wet weather pushing in from the south and west. It's already turned quite damp across parts of Wales, southwestern England, and there'll be more of that to come through the day. That rain pushes north and eastwards into parts of southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern England as well. But the far north of Scotland, eastern areas of southern Scotland and eastern England should remain largely dry until this afternoon. Here it won't feel too bad in the sunshine, temperatures reaching the mid-teens for some areas. Elsewhere, a little below that and pretty damp and spells of wet weather coming and going through the rest of the day. The rain's not going to be particularly heavy, but it will just bring a bit of a gloomy feel, unfortunately. But some sunshine for the far north coast of Scotland to end the day. Some heavier spells of rain here and there across parts of southern Scotland and into Northern Ireland. But for many of us, it's going to be a bit of a cloudy end to the day. You can see the far east of East Anglia seeing some brighter spells to end the day as well. So sunshine is going to be pretty restricted by the time we get to Tuesday evening. And then overnight, a cloudy and damp night is in situ for most of us. We will see some heavy spells of rain for a time, particularly across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland through the early hours of Wednesday. But it will be a mild night, much milder than last night. Last night we got down to -3 across parts of Cumbria. We're going to be closer to 10 or 11 degrees in these areas to start the day on Wednesday. So a very different feel, but another pretty overcast and damp day. This time we could see some quite heavy spells of rain around lunchtime as this band of rain pushes eastwards across the country. Some gusty winds in association with this as well. But another mild day away from the rain, we could see 18 degrees.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Car park cars.
Hello, it's 20 minutes to 12, actually 19 minutes to 12 now. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Dawn Neeson.
Yeah, that's Dawn Neeson. Reform UK are calling for VAT on fuel to be halved on oil prices as the conflict, as you know, continues to drive up prices around the world. I mean, they're going up and down, aren't they? Just under $100 today,
They really
I think.
are. I mean, every day is a different story. You wake up and see what America's done and how it's all going to react. In any case, GB News national reporter Jack Carson joins us now. Jack, what's going on?
Well, thank you very much, Andrew and Dawn. We're here in Nottinghamshire, where this petrol station and these customers are benefiting from a 13p reduction in their petrol price and a 16p reduction in their diesel price. That's because reforms say they're imitating what would be a half price cut on VAT. Robert Jenrick, Reform UK's Treasury spokesperson, joins us now. Why are you calling on the Chancellor to halve VAT?
Well, because people are suffering right across the country, and Lee Anderson and I have spent the morning here talking to punters, and we've met care workers who are doing visits across the county. We've met mums and dads who have driven long distance to take their kids to school, farmers, HGV drivers, white van men, and everyone is finding life tough at the moment. So our message to Rachel Reeves is very clear. You are the Chancellor, you're not a bystander. Do something now to help people with the cost of living. Do an emergency cut in VAT on petrol and diesel. Save people 13p a litre on unleaded, 16p on diesel. And do not go ahead with the increase on fuel duty that's coming down the line in September. Only someone as out of touch as Rachel Reeves would go ahead with that right now, when everyone wants to see some action on the cost of living.
How long should that support go on for? Should that go on until this crisis in Iran in the Middle East is over?
Well, on the emergency cut, we've said do it for 3 months. And then, look, let's see where we are at the end of that. And that would be similar to what countries all over the world are doing right now. Australia, Sweden, Spain, Portugal, the Republic of Ireland. Other governments are doing something, but ours is doing absolutely nothing. And Rachel Reeves is actually raking it in at the moment. She's making tens of millions of pounds in extra tax because of the cost of energy, whether it's people paying their bills at home or filling up at the forecourt. And instead of using a bit of that to lighten the load on people like those we've met this morning, she's just stashing it away. In fact, she's wasting it on benefits, on net zero subsidies, on all the things that we shouldn't be doing as a country. Use that money to help people who are finding life very tough at the moment.
Well, the Chancellor would say that families and businesses across Britain are bearing the cost of instability she says they did not cause. She's off to Washington to meet with the IMF and urge partners to come together to find a solution through the global economic shock from the Iran crisis. You're the Treasury spokesperson. Would you be doing the same as Rachel Reeves is now? Would you be urging coordination to try and bring prices down across the board?
Well, yeah, of course, I want the war to come to an end as soon as possible because it's hurting people here in this country so much. But Reeves is spending all her time in meetings and summits and swanning off around the world. But what is she actually doing? I don't care if she's in Washington. I want her to be in Westminster. Or in fact, I want her to be here. I want her to be here in Nottingham saying what she's going to do for working people. That is what the people I've been speaking to care about. They want to see a Chancellor who is on their side, who understands how tough life is and is actually taking decisions that help them. At the moment, she's doing nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Can I ask you on Reform's call for a Boris Wave inquiry, would you give evidence to that inquiry?
Yes, absolutely. Look, I think that is an incredibly important thing that the next government has to do, and only Reform will deliver it. I resigned from the last Conservative government because I was so appalled by what I'd seen when I entered the Home Office. The decisions that Boris Johnson, Priti Patel and the ministers at the time took were the worst decisions I think any ministers have taken in my lifetime. They brought millions of people into the country. They have changed our country in ways which may be very difficult to reverse, and they'll cost £622 billion. That's 20 grand for every household in the country.
You said you were part of that government and you resigned from that government. So was Suella Braverman, seeing some of the highest figures when she was Home Secretary and when you were both in government. So how can people trust you that come the next Reform government, things are going to be different?
That's the way the system works. You take action and then it begins to have an effect. What Suella did, and I saw her up close, is spent a year trying to persuade Rishi Sunak and the Tories to do something about this, banging her head against a brick wall. I literally went into Rishi Sunak's office in Downing Street and said, I will resign unless you bring the Boris Wave to an end. And he finally agreed to the measures, which did start to have effect. And when I felt he wasn't doing enough on illegal migration, a couple of days later, I chose to resign, go onto the backbenches, start voting against the Tory government in order to push this agenda forward. So I have no trust, zero trust in the Conservative Party to get a grip on immigration. That is one of the reasons why I chose to leave, to join Reform, because I believe Nigel Farage is the only man who has got the conviction and the backbone that is necessary to fix this problem once and for all. And yes, those people who were responsible for these mistakes, they should be hauled before a public inquiry. I mean, frankly, in a different era, some of them will be in the Tower of London now because they made such terrible mistakes that are going to hurt this country for generations to come.
What about the Deputy Leader of Reform, Richard Tice? Are you concerned that his kind of tax affairs are damaging your party? You're going to be the Treasury possible Chancellor if Reform were to form the next government. What would you do to clamp down on ways like Richard Tice has used to maybe get round tax?
Well, everyone should pay their taxes, and as far as I'm aware, Richard Tice has not just paid his taxes, he's probably paid more tax than he should have paid. So, look, I don't think there's any issue. It strikes me as a non-story. I'm much more interested in what Angela Rayner is doing when she's being investigated by HMRC when she was the Deputy Prime Minister of our country. But look, what we're focused on here today is how we can help people out with the cost of living and what a Reform government would do, which is we would actually take action now to bring down the cost of fuel on forecourts. And today we're doing it in one. in Nottingham. We've done it in Derbyshire, we've done it in Dover, there'll be more across the country, but I want to do this in every forecourt, everywhere in the country, and that's the difference a reform government would make.
Right, Robert Jenrick, Treasury spokesperson for Reform UK, thank you so much for joining us on GB News this morning here on Britain's Newsroom.
Thanks, Jack. That's Jack Carson with Robert Jenrick there from Reform UK.
Yeah, indeed.
Robert Jenrick was making the point there should be, in his view, a public inquiry into the huge surge in legal migration when Boris Johnson was Prime Minister. Look, I bitterly regret that surge, and I think it was a terrible thing that the Tories allowed migration to soar like that. But I do not want another public inquiry. Oh, my God, how many more?
Let's have a meeting about a meeting before we have a meeting about the inquiry.
Yeah.
No, let's not.
How
Let's
long
just...
did it take to get the post office inquiry?
Oh,
what about the COVID inquiry is ongoing?
Yeah, grooming gangs.
Yeah, the Bloody Sunday inquiry took 14 years.
We don't need it.
And how are they going to get Boris to go to it?
Here's the thing, right, politicians, rather than having a meeting or an inquiry or setting up another committee, just do the job. Just get on with it.
Yeah, look, Boris, if you're listening, you screwed up with your Boris wave. But then, I remember when he was Mayor of London, he wanted there to be an amnesty for illegal migrants. I was horrified.
Yeah.
I wanted to kick him out.
Oh, I've got a story about him and when he was Mayor of London. I'll tell you in the break.
OK, Is it one of those sort of stories?
One of those sort of stories, yeah. And I guess we have to move on. Harry and Meghan are living it up in Australia, your favourite story, Piers, and the Aussies are paying for it. But up next, if you are in search of some holiday sun, not in Australia, you don't have to go that far. Here's a forecast for those top European destinations.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Sunny skies across most of Spain, some thundery showers on Wednesday in Italy, and after some sunshine, things turning showery in Greece. Things warming up in the Canaries through the rest of this week. Sunny spells on Wednesday, lots of sunshine for Spain and Portugal. Main exception will be the far northwest, where there will be some rain moving in. Heavy showers, even thunderstorms likely in Italy, particularly in Rome. Much of Greece dry and sunny on Wednesday, but the showers will move in here later on in the week, and a continued risk of thunderstorms in Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time. But I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
It's a surprise.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis.
In the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there.
With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Oh, welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. It's our last few minutes together today,
There is.
Andrew.
Harry and Meghan have begun a 4-day tour across Australia, Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney. But what's upset people is because they are charging thousands and thousands of pounds for access to hear Meghan's views on making jam, but they are charging the Australian taxpayer for the cost of security, which will run into hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
And they're meant to be raising awareness and money for mental health charities. Okay.
So, pay for your own security. They're a pair of liggers, as they would say in Australia.
Okay,
what are they calling them?
Yeah, and
the Whinger
Ginger and the Whinger.
Ginger.
Yeah. Andrew Pearce and I are now shutting up. We're handing over to Tom and Nana, but we are back tomorrow.
See you then.
See you soon.
Well, thank you very much, both. Now, look, the big story. Lord Robertson, a Labour grandee, is saying that Britain is underprepared, underinsured and under attack. We should be spending using welfare money.
Also, Town Hall Fat Cats. Stay tuned after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A chilly but sunny start for many in the east. Don't get used to that sunshine, though, because the cloud is spilling in from the west, bringing some outbreaks of rain and increasing breeze as well. The wind's quite light, though, with plenty of sunshine, but a chilly start across eastern England and much of Scotland. It's not as cold as yesterday morning further west because that cloud has been moving in, making for a grey day over Wales, Northern Ireland, western England, with outbreaks of rain and drizzle here and there. That rain and drizzle will spread to northwest England, southern Scotland. Eastern England hanging on to some brightness, along with much of northern Scotland. 16, 17, 18 possible here. Further west, temperatures still getting into the mid to high teens, so a little milder than yesterday for many, but that breeze will increase. Now, the far north of Scotland hanging on to the fine weather even into this evening, but the rain and drizzle will be spreading into central Scotland by this stage. Damp for most of the afternoon across southwest Scotland. For most of the day, rain on and off across Northern Ireland, but nothing too heavy at this stage. We'll see some of that drizzly rain arriving in southeast England. And it's going to be a dull, damp day for much of South Wales and southwest England too. We could see some heavier bursts of rain moving in as it all continues to drift northwards. But we'll eventually see that cloud spilling into northern Scotland. The wind's continuing to strengthen, getting quite blustery in places, particularly around western coasts overnight, with further outbreaks of rain coming in here. But with all that cloud, wind coming up from the south or southwest, it's going to be a very mild night. Temperatures in many towns and cities staying in double digits. So a mild start to Wednesday, a fairly drab day, though lots of cloud around. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle for many, and then a band of heavier rain coming into western areas from late morning onwards, really, into Wales, southwest England. Brighter skies will follow on behind that with some sunny spells. A few showers across the east, where it will again be pretty mild, with temperatures likely to reach the high teens. Bye for now.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Make sure you don't miss out on your chance to win big. One guaranteed winner will drive away with a brand new 4-berth Benivan 122 camper van.